I've been back a few days, though I haven't been good about updating. My friend Emma came and she brought these fabrics to hide these materials. This place is a bit of a mess now. I should clean up. Oh, it's windy. It's weird because it's almost July and it was so cold last night that I could see my breath. So maybe 12 degrees. I tied the cucumbers up yesterday. Tomatoes coming. They're huge. The usual. I'm gonna try to grow some wild strawberries from these eggs. So these 6 are planted. I still don't know what I'm gonna do with these. And my pump is still not working. I tested it out. I finished fastening all these sides and my bucket fell down. So I think something's broken with the bottom part of the pump because it worked the last time I tested it. And I don't know what else has changed. Small changes all around. I'm watering the plants less. I'm trying to disconnect myself from them a bit so that I'm not dependent on being here, because I know that it's not going to survive when I'm gone for a week or so. And now I'm coming to forest time. It's all over the field here. And it's as simple as getting with it, throwing it in the bucket. And furthermore, there's wild strawberries here, so this also makes a good tea. It's good for stomach aches. I've been walking around the piles and just looking where I can harvest a lot of thyme in one go. I picked some Ivan chai, or willow herb leaves, and here I'm leaving them to ferment for about a day. It apparently makes very tasty tea. I've been really bad about updating with my GoPro this past few days. Anyways, I'm about to head back to the city, and my place is a extreme mess. The wind is blowing everything like crazy, and I'm fasting today, and I have to bike through this crazy wind. I will show you quickly what the garden looks like. Okay, even the zucchini are starting to dry out. It's been very hot. It hasn't rained in the past week, and it's only going to drizzle lightly. So I'm expecting some plants to actually really die this time. So I watered the tomatoes, and even if it rains, that'll be good for them. I imagine I'll be back in 4 days or so. I don't know. My mom is coming in 2 days. My brother is already there. And my pump, as you can see, the bottom part came out, and the tricky part was that because the water level is where it is, I can't drill under the water. So I'm gonna try to fix this problem by getting a 3-meter long pipe. That's the holdup on water. Otherwise, everything is drilled and fastened. And otherwise, shit is just dying here. These clovers are surviving, but this part's just drying out. It's back and forth with weather. My family is coming today to visit. It's raining finally. I was in Vilnius for the past 6 days spending time with family, so I haven't seen much of what has died or what has changed since then. However, it's rained quite a bit. I returned this time with a Berkey filter. Here I'm trying to capture some rainwater because I realize it's overflowing. Here it's going to waste. It could be used for something else. I'm thinking of what I might need going forward. I like the idea of maybe even finding more umbrellas and making like a drip system to have like a straw that could come out from here and water some plants in some corner of the bed. I don't know if I'll ever get around to it, but it's just an idea. Otherwise, I'm trying to clean up, and I got already a really good cucumber from the plants in the greenhouse. And my neighbors on the hill already has zucchini, and I pulled this guy out of the ground. So it's nice that I can start living off at least my neighbor's land instead of from the city. Here, for example, is potatoes still from last year. She has a lot of potatoes saved up. Did some tree jujitsu, and I bent all of these trees so I wouldn't have to cut them. Thinking how to make this so I have to do as little damage as possible. I might have to tie these trees together though so that they grow into this form. But otherwise it's fun that I can bend certain branches into place and they stay for the time being until the wind blows. So as it's raining these days, these boards are just getting wet and I really need a compost toilet, so I'm going to start building it out of these boards. They're already getting wet. I might as well make some use out of them and get them out of here. So I already started disassembling the extra pieces from these other boards. I think I'm gonna lay this down on the bottom, and then I'll have these long pieces as the wall sides, and then I'll go from there. It's gonna be really jerry-rigged. So from those pieces, I'll walk to where I want to make the compost toilet, not far from where the current hole in the ground is. There's the current toilet. The new one, I'm thinking, will go here. I already cleared this spot, and I think it would look good if it was facing out this way, the wall pieces. I just need to put down some logs here so that the whole thing doesn't rot, and then I will put the boards on top of the logs and then build it up from there and try to use these branches to help support the walls. My mom was over today and we cleared away these areas of needles from here and from here, and I started a compost pile. It's a ericaceous compost pile for future blueberries. It's hailing. Guys, it's been raining a lot these past few days and this land is really recovering. All of the moss is fully greened up. Everything is pretty soaked. It's raining every day, and it's supposed to keep raining for the next few days. So not ideal for when family's over. So here I just set down the base for the toilet. This goes here. And then these will be the walls. So here's the outhouse. I got this roof from a disintegrating beehive that I found up on the castle hill. And here I'm figuring out how I'm gonna make this a little toilet area. So now I'm going to cut out a hole and just to get an idea of how it'll be to make a toilet seat. But I will then use this as the final piece. Here, I just built this part. Now I'm gonna saw a hole out. And here I just sawed this hole out using a multi-tool. The toilet seat is still to come, but the hole is here, and there's a bucket to poop in. My mom is helping me plant things in the garden. We're planting borage. I just pulled out these two beets. There were four of them growing together, so I'm thinning them out, and these already grow pretty well. And mom is planting all of this area. So I just harvested some seeds from mustard wasabi. I still don't know the best way to separate the shells with the seeds that are underneath, but I'm hoping to have a much larger harvest sometime in the future. I really like how this plant grew out, and it creates a good bunch of carbon compost waste. You can see this as a very useful plant for this land because it grows well, and the mustard wasabi flavor is really spicy, and I can't wait to experiment more food-wise with it. And here's a reason why I try to tell people not to bring trash to my land. One thing I want to plan more of for the next year is more just planning things and not having to look after them. More experiments like these. My neighbor gave me seeds. I stuck them in the ground, and I have not watered them once. And they're growing to zucchinis and also potatoes like these. I had some drying up potatoes that I was going to otherwise throw away, but I just threw them into the sandy ground a few months ago and have not had to water them either. They're very good examples of ways that I could have gotten more food just if I'd stuck more seeds in the ground, regardless of what I look after them. These plants, I stuck the seeds in for them a few weeks ago, and for the longest time it seemed like they weren't coming out of the ground. But in 1 week or so, they exponentially grow quicker, it seems, once they get more leafage. And here is suede. My mother and I thinned some of them out yesterday. But they've been surviving mostly just from rain. I have not had to look after them. Whereas my onions, they seem to require more attention. And either that or I just planned poorly with this garden bed. Regardless, it's interesting seeing how certain plants are coexisting with one another. And I'm noticing since I got rid of these hawkweeds, I see more surface area of wild strawberry plants, which is a dream come true. Here's where I'm at with the water pump. Here, as you can see, I'm gluing together the check valve onto the 3-meter long pipe. Afterwards, I'll have to hop down into the well, tear apart the bottom pipe that's still fastened into the concrete, and replace it with this. And then from there, I'm going to fasten the top parts of this pipe, which aren't submerged under the water, so that once I push down on the pipe from the top, the bottom part of it won't fly out like the previous iteration. For the time being, this is where I throw all of my compost. This is after a week with family and friends over, and I take it to a pile beyond the greenhouse. I still have yet to make a normal compost pile. However, I'm gathering up the resources, aka food and paper. Yeah, ants are going wild. I'll cover you back up. And then eventually I'm going to come back and do something with this. Today's been a busy day. I'm finishing off with dinner. And got quite a few things done today, including fixing up, leveling out the driveway, and tied up the tomatoes and the cucumbers in the greenhouse. Yeah, let's take a look. Yeah, you can see the cucumbers are gonna take over this half of the greenhouse. I took off the lower branches. I was told to take off every branch up until the first fruit. And this will leave some more room for me to grow some other things underneath it. Cooking some kale. And my neighbor brought some, I think they're Melissas. After spending a week with my family and even more time with them in Vilnius, I'm noticing different systems that we come from. And I feel like from both of our societies, a metaphor I just thought of is it feels like the Western world is trying to battle entropy, which is cleaning things, organizing things, building things from nothing. And a lot of the time, it's a slower velocity than if you go and work with entropy. And I see the metaphor as entropy being like nature. Everything that comes out happenstance as a result of going with the flow. In the next update, I return from my 2-week long vacation.